Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Daily War Brief program. In recent days, the whole world has been spinning because of Donald Trump, as information coming out of the U.S. keeps changing constantly, leaving people unsure what's real and what's fake anymore. At one point, Trump claimed that Iran had agreed to most of a 15-point proposal to end the conflict. However, Iran quickly denied this. Then there was Trump's statement that Iran would face an attack 20 times stronger if it blocked oil tankers passing through the Strait of Hormuz, a very strong and forceful warning. Yet today, Iran is still blocking the strait and even planning to charge fees for ships passing through. Meanwhile, according to information leaked from the White House, Trump actually wants to end the war before reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Just as people are confused about what to believe, Trump went on social media claiming that the U.S. is negotiating with Iran. He warned that if Iran doesn't cooperate and reach an agreement soon, the U.S. would strike everything from power plants and oil wells to ports and desalination facilities. At the same time, the White House is pressuring Iran to settle things before the 6th, or else Trump might lose his temper. Honestly, it's becoming impossible to follow global events when everything is so chaotic. Basically, whatever the U.S. says, Iran seems to do the opposite. As for the negotiations, only Trump himself seems to know the truth. Iran, on the other hand, claims there have been no negotiations at all in the past month. When a New York reporter asked about the situation, Trump firmly insisted that negotiations are ongoing, specifically with Iran's parliament speaker. However, when the speaker was asked, he completely denied it. Some wonder if this is a tactic by Trump to create internal division within Iran, as discussed in earlier episodes. If true, it would be a very sophisticated move. It's said that in Iran, only 2 high-ranking officials, the parliament speaker and the foreign minister, are not on any assassination lists. Trump's goal may be to keep them alive for negotiation purposes. If everyone were eliminated, there would be no one left to talk to. Because of that, these 2 can speak freely without fear of being targeted. However, since they are likely to survive, Trump might be playing a psychological game, spreading misinformation to make them distrust each other. By repeatedly claiming that negotiations are going well and that Iran is agreeing to everything, he could create suspicion within Iran's leadership. Imagine one official thinking, yesterday he swore to fight the U.S. to the end, and now he's promising to surrender and give up nuclear weapons. That would look like betrayal. Even if the parliament speaker truly hasn't negotiated, he would now have to prove his innocence. Of course, this is just speculation. Only time will tell what's true. But one thing seems certain. Trump's statements are rarely fully truthful at best. They might be half true, and often he contradicts himself within a day. The most reliable news right now seems to be reports from Israel about assassinated Iranian leaders. These reports are almost always accurate. Israel may announce something days in advance, and Iran only confirms it later. For example, a general responsible for blocking the Strait of Hormuz was reported dead by Israel days before Iran confirmed it. This shows how effective Israeli intelligence is. Many believe Israeli agents have infiltrated high levels of Iran's government to obtain and leak such precise information. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to do this, especially since Iran has shut down most of its internet during the conflict, with only a few agencies able to communicate carriage. This also suggests deep mistrust within Iran's leadership. High-ranking officials are being assassinated easily, sometimes without even internal acknowledgement, while foreign reports already announced it days earlier. Another sign of internal division is the disagreement between Iran's president and military leaders. One side supports war, while the other prefers negotiation due to the country's struggling economy and the people's hardships. With widespread service disruptions caused by internet shutdowns, many question how long the country can continue fighting. On the other side, the U.S. is also facing internal issues. Millions of Americans have protested against Trump and the war in Iran. Meanwhile, relations between the U.S. and NATO allies are increasingly strained. Some NATO members have refused to allow the U.S. to use their military bases to attack Iran. Spain in particular has taken a strong stance, refusing not only base access, but also banning U.S. military aircraft from using its airspace for operations against Iran. Spain argues that the war violates international law and does not meet NATO or United Nations standards. This shows that even U.S. allies are questioning the legitimacy of the war. No NATO country has joined the U.S. military campaign in Iran. Most are offering only verbal support. In essence, they're saying, we'll support you in defense, but don't expect us to actively go to war with you. While it may sound harsh, this position is both logical and understandable. Allies fear that if they join the war, the U.S. might withdraw and leave them to face Iran alone, while the U.S. continues selling weapons and making statements from afar. This concern is not unfounded, especially as the U.S. has already suggested that Arab countries should help fund the war effort. In the end, being an enemy of the U.S. is difficult, but being its ally isn't easy either. The U.S. may launch a military campaign and then expect its allies to pay for it under the justification of protection. This explains why many Arab countries buy large amounts of U.S. weapons but remain hesitant to engage Iran directly. Being allied with a country like the U.S., especially under Trump's leadership, where national interest always comes first, is not simple. Ultimately, the safest strategy for many nations is to prioritize their own security rather than rely too heavily on others.